Morning, everyone. Morning, everyone. Hope everyone's well. Mark's not about this morning. Haven't heard from him. I've got to say, he probably had a long night last night. But you've just got me this morning. Let me see if I can change that slightly. There you go. Yeah, you just got me this morning by the look of it. Unless Mark jumps in at some stage. He's probably had a long night at work last night, so I haven't heard from him. Disappointing last night, I've got to say. Myself and Nige did the watch along for the game, and I think it's fair to say it was a bit of a disappointing result, a bit of a disappointing performance, I suppose you'd call it, from Spurs, even though we got the draw. We nicked the draw in the last minute. But overall, I would say it was a disappointing performance. We'll get into the game and have a chat about it and see what your thoughts were and are. We'll say a few hellos first to everyone who's in. Barbaric's in, as usual, first in this morning. Big up to Barbaric. Hope you're well, mate. Yeah, still can't get me around that abysmal performance last night. We'll take the point, but hopefully Thomas Frank learns from this. Smash a like and sub on the channel, people. Yes, please do. Yeah, it was very weird last night, and yeah, we'll get into it though. Lee Payne, may the force be with you, sir, as well. Yeah, absolutely, Lee. Absolutely. Hope you're well, Lee. Shem's in. Morning, gentlemen. Hope you're well. Shocking again. Look like a bunch of players that haven't played together before. What's going on? I don't really know, Shem, to be honest with you. I don't really know. You're spot on. It looks like we can't pass 5 yards, to be fair. Similar issues to what we had last season. I think the performance on its own, we looked at more solid at the back than we did at last season, even though that Bodo had a few chances last night and should have been probably out of sight before we scored. But again, we'll get into that as well. We'll get into that. Yeah, Shem, I know, it's mad. It's mad. It just seemed like Bodo had the ball all the time and we were just playing around us. You know, second half, we had a bit more possession. I've got to be fair, last 20 minutes or so, we created chances, you know, when we was pushing on a bit. We had a bit more of the ball, but it still didn't look great, to be fair, you know. So it is what it is. It is what it is. I've got no doubt things will improve. Things are just going to take time, and he can only work with the tools he's got at the end of the day. We've had this conversation as well, haven't we? Big up to Marianne. Morning to you. Hope you're well, Marianne. Hope you're well. And Dominico as well. Morning to you too. Big up to everyone who was in with myself and Nige with a watch along last night. Really enjoyed it. I've got no doubt we'll be doing more as we go along. Finn's in the house as well. Morning to you, Finn. Absolutely. Bit of a shit show last night. Just because Richie is our only first choice striker doesn't mean we should play him. 7 touches in the entire game. Sorry, Finn, I don't mean to laugh because I don't know what to say to it, to be honest. See, I don't know what to say. He was shocking last night, Richarlison. Absolutely shocking. Didn't look like he was interested in the slightest, to be fair. I know he's got I don't know if it went down as an own goal. He put himself in the right place to be there for the second goal last night. But generally, there were too many players that just didn't seem like they were there last night. And when they're not there, when you've got a Richarlison who doesn't turn up, when you've got a Johnson that you don't see, and they're not the only two last night, by the way, you know, straight away you could say, well, we've got 9 men last night because they just didn't really do a lot. Didn't really do a lot at all. And you knew Bodo were going to come out and have a go. Let's be fair. You knew they were going to come out and have a go. They were at home. They've got a good record at home. And it is what it is, but we just didn't impose ourselves on the game at all. And the only time that we did look like we could impose ourselves on the game was when Paulinia, Kudos and Simmons came on. Because without any of those three, and which I thought was a bit of a shock as well, we'll get into that as well, that all three didn't play. I thought at least one of them would have played. And again, we know they need to rest. We know he's trying to rotate and manage players and Thomas Frank and do what he's doing. But yeah, I think he got away with one last night a little bit again, to be fair. But we are showing resilience. I've got to be fair. We are showing resilience. You know, the Brighton game, this game, the Wolves game going 1-0 down. You know, we are showing resilience, and whether we're playing well or not, we are getting results in games, whether it be draws instead of losses, whatever it is. We're wangling a point out of games that last year we probably wouldn't have got at all. So I did say on a show the other night, you know, I'd rather be playing rubbish and picking some points up. I think rubbish is a bit harsh, to be fair. Very under par, let's say. You know, I'd rather be playing very under par and scraping something out of a game, whether it be in the last minute, whatever it is, playing poorly and getting a point, than playing poorly and getting nothing at all. You know, for me, the performance I would like, and I suppose all of us would like to be better. But at the end of the day, it's the result that matters, because it's a results game, and 1 point is better than 0 points, as shown in the Brighton game, the Wolves game. Didn't play well against Villarreal at home in the first game of the Champions League, but, you know, managed to get the 3 points out of that. So there seems to be a theme moving along here that we're not playing very well at the moment. We're a bit down in the dumps. And Thomas Frank, one way or the other, has to try and make it work with what he's got until January. I don't know what else we can do. You know, we're waiting for Moani to come back from injury. You know, once he gets fit, up and running, hopefully, that's another bod that's there that he can use to get through till January, till the window opens, until players like Kulusevski, your Dragasins, and hopefully your Madisons come back into the squad as well. Because once they're all fit, it looks a bit of a different story, to be fair. Not saying we still don't need to add, because we do. In many areas we need to add. But at some stage, the football does need to improve. I'm prepared to give Thomas Frank a bit of time. You know, when you look at the performances, it doesn't look like much has changed, but it has, because there is some structure to the team. There are some tactics. I just think that we haven't got enough in some of the midfield areas and the forward areas too. I just don't think we're strong enough. But that's just my opinion. Get in the chat what you think, people. By all means, do so. Lee, I haven't heard from the sheriff this morning. I would take it, because we normally speak about an hour before the show. But he's probably got in very late this morning from work, I would imagine. They've ended up having a long one. And he's still asleep, mate, I would imagine. But yeah, big up to the sheriff, working his backside off at the moment. We've got Udo Lee. This is the problem. Because if we don't rest players, yeah, and players start getting injured, or we get more injuries, then all us fans are going to be in uproar with Thomas Frank saying, you know, basically you're doing what Ange did last season. You're playing them. And then if injuries occur, we'll all be saying, well, why didn't you give him a rest? So he can't win in that respect, really. You know, he can't win. We want the best team available to be put out every week. A couple of times we've looked at the team sheet this season and thought, oh, you know, the Burnley game when he put all the youngsters in midfield, Sarr, Bergvall and Gray, we got away with it that day. You know, he hasn't gone that far yesterday. You know, but the midfield did look quite weak yesterday on paper with Bergvall and Sarr. But what can he do? There was no Simmons. Obviously, Kudos and Paulinia were the main three lads that came in were all rested. So basically, you had squad players from last season that were playing the game yesterday. I just think Bodo wanted it more than we did. Again, we've got away with it. We've got a draw. We've got a late goal. We'll take the point. And if we'd have said to anyone, you know, regardless of how it looks on the pitch to us with our eyes, if you'd have said, you know, 10 games in or all in, Thomas Frank would have only lost one game. He'd have only lost one game in the league, and he'd have had 4 points out of 6 in the Champions League. I think we'd have all been sitting here going, yeah, we'll have some of that. That will do. That's not a bad start. Not bad at all. You know, when you look at the actual results, only losing one game, drawing a couple, you know, and winning the rest. So, you know, we could be in a position now where we're talking about we're playing crap and we're in the bottom half of the league, or, you know, we're in the bottom 6 or something. Because results could have sent it that way. Let's be fair. You know, if we hadn't got those draws at Wolves and at Brighton, you know, we'd be another 4 points worse off now. So, you know, we have to look at it for what it is. We're in the top 4. You know, we've got the points to get to be where we are there, and we've made a very reasonable start points-wise in the Champions League. So, you know, hopefully the football will get better and the results will pick up even more, and we'll win even more games. But we have to look at it as well that if this continues, you know, the disappointing nature of the football, I suppose, that we're actually watching, there doesn't seem to be any cohesion across the team. You see little bits and pieces, you know, little 1-2s here and there, but there's not enough of it. We don't see enough of it. And, you know, a perfect example yesterday, you know, that cross that Porro put in for Van de Ven to score the first goal for Spurs yesterday. What a peach. Why are we not doing that more? It had pace on it. It had accuracy on it. It had power on it. The perfect cross just for someone to put their nut on it. They haven't got to think about what they're doing with it. Everything's there for the player that's receiving that ball, for the header. Just direct it. And if you're facing the right way, you're directing it anyway. You know, Mickey Van der Ven didn't have to do a lot there apart from put his nut on it. The ball in from Porro was brilliant. And we need to see more of that stuff, which when we talk about crosses coming into the box, we're not just talking about floating them in and hoping someone gets their bonce on it. You know, that was perfect yesterday. Pace, power, accuracy. And they're the sort of balls we want to see coming into the box like that. You're not giving defenders time to think. You're not giving defenders time to turn. The attackers are facing the right way. You know, you're not heading the ball from a position and from back to goal and trying to twist and turn and get your head on it. It was perfect. Loved it. Loved that cross from Porro yesterday. I want to see more of that this season. From both sides as well, from a doggy as well. You know, there was a bit of intent on that cross. And that's how it needs to be. And I'm not saying it's going to find its man every time, because it may well not. But the idea of how he's put that ball across, first time, had a look up first, looked exactly where he wanted to put it, and he's put it there. Not just floated it, he's give it a bit, and he's put a bit of curl on it and a bit of dip on it. Perfect cross. Want to see more and more of that, more and more of it. Loved it. One of the only bits in the game that I did really love from a Spurs point of view, I've got to be fair. Lee's saying without Xavi, Kudos, Paulinia, we're shocking. It seemed that way yesterday again. It was back to giving the ball away too easily. Again, no cohesion. And it was better when they came on. Absolutely, it was better. We were pushing for 20, 25 minutes without, you know, Odibert at the bar. We had a few chances, but it was, for me, it was pushing without looking great. You know, But you would expect that from Spurs being 2-1 down and, you know, looking for the equaliser at the end of the day. And we got the equaliser, and fair play to them for getting it. Like I said, wasn't brilliant performance, nowhere near. And for a few games now, it hasn't been very good. But, you know, the sign of a good team is nicking points. You lot in the chat must remember back in the day. Boring Arsenal. Nicking 1-0. Every week, 1-0, 1-0, 1-1, 0-0, and so on. And that was the tag they got under George Graham. Boring Arsenal. Well, I don't mind being boring and being shit as long as we're picking points up. But as long as at some stage we see a bit of progression on the pitch, because we've got some very good technical players now on the pitch. And at the end of the day, you know, Thomas Frank can only work with what he's got. You know, we're short on the left wing. We're shoehorning players in over there, for me, because Odibert, he might well be a left winger, yeah, as such. But, you know, we saw a couple of instances last night where he did have a go at his defender. And that's what I want him to do more. I want him to knock it past him, get us into those dangerous positions, push us up the pitch, stop coming back all the time. Every time we get the winger gets the ball, just in that final third there where he's got that space where he can run in behind. If the chance is there to do that, knock it into that space and go, because you've got the pace to do it. Keep coming back inside all the time. And it's not just him. They was all doing it last night before Kudos come on. Johnson, every time he got the ball, he might well show for the ball. Yeah, he showed for it. He got it and just knocked it back either to where it come from or inside. No intent to go down the outside at all. And whether he can do that or not, or whether he can't do it, perhaps he feels he hasn't got the confidence to do that at the moment. There's all different aspects. You can just sit there. We could sit there and say, well, Brennan Johnson's shit, so he's never going to do that anyway. That doesn't, you know, me just saying that, we're not looking for a solution to the problem. You know, as fans, we can sit here. There's no point. I can get frustrated and I can say, well, he's this, he's that. It was collectively a not good performance. And then the three lads come on in the second half, gave a bit of solidity to it. Paulinia coming on, just sitting again in front, just gives us another defensive mechanism there. Kudos came on, he tried to do his best. He wasn't great by any stretch, but when he was getting it, he was getting hold of the ball. You know, trying to hold on to it, because we had no outlet all night. It was just bouncing back again. You know, Simmons wasn't brilliant when he came on, but he gave us a bit of something different going forward. You know, so again, we got the draw, we got the point. I think if you'd have spoke to most people, they'd probably say it was undeserved, again, like the Wolves game. You know, but we kept plugging. And that's something you don't really see from Tottenham teams when we go 1 and 2-0 down in the past. You know, and it's nice to see that they do. They've got that resilience in them to keep plugging on. Because they must sense themselves it's not happening out on the pitch here today. They must sense that they can't roll two passes together 10 yards on many occasions, not every occasion, but many occasions. Working hard to give the ball back in tight areas. Then the first pass that we give to try and get out of that area, we're giving it away again and putting ourselves back under pressure. At the end of the day, we can all make excuses, but these fellas are professional footballers, and I'm sure, you know, I'm watching videos of him in training, different scenario, but I'm watching them knocking 10-yard passes to each other at 100 miles an hour without trapping the ball. Bang, 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 opposite each other, 10 yards away, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. And they're not missing a beat. They're not missing a beat, but on the pitch, they can't do it. And it frustrates me. It does frustrate me. They're professionals at the end of the day. Should be able to pass the ball 10 yards, even under pressure, and find your man. You know, showing again last night. Players showing for the ball when we had the ball. You know, and you got to bear in mind as well, when we were picking the ball up and someone put the possession stat in there, 29%. I know at the end of the first half, it was like 63% to Bodo, something like that. 63% to Bodo. So, you know, for me, when we're winning that ball back, when we've been under a little bit of pressure, whether it's they're having shots on goal, whether they're keeping the ball, you know, for a lot of the game last night, Bodo didn't have any, it didn't matter how far they were up the pitch. If there wasn't a forward pass to make, they would come all the way back. The amount of times that they looked in a threatening position last night, Bodo, and the winger or whoever had the ball up, you know, quite a way up the pitch in the Spurs half, if a ball weren't on, they'd come all the way back just to retain possession, just to make Spurs work, you know? And they weren't scared of doing that. They did it so often last night. The amount of times it came all the way back and they'd switch the play and go all the way over the other side and try again over there. And if that didn't work, they'd come back again and come all the way back over the other side. And it was a good tactic from them, I thought, because we didn't have the ball and we were the ones doing the running. You know? So I'll keep going through the chat. Sorry, because I see a question and I want to talk to you about football because I'm trying to work out in my own head what Thomas Frank can do to improve what's going on the pitch. He's trying to make us stable at the back. I get what he's trying to do. Yeah, but at some point, whether you think we've got the players or not, the players that are there, yeah, we've got to start working on patterns of play as we're coming out from defence and transforming into midfield, into attack, transitioning, into midfield and into attack, because there's just not a lot there. There's not a lot there. And you know, second half, you know, the last 25 minutes or so, it didn't look so bad because we were in the ascendancy. It had changed. We'd gone to the team being in possession and they were trying to break on us. They were trying to nick the ball from us and break on us. You know, so possession-wise, it was a lot better. And we created a few bits and pieces. The missus has just bought me a cup of coffee. Thanks, sweetheart. Yeah, it was a lot better in the second half, as in possession-wise, but I still don't think the quality was there, not in abundance. Again, Porro's cross for the goal. Fantastic. The lead up to the second goal was nice. Richarlison was in the right place when it bounced off the keeper, putting pressure on the defender, and it went down as an own goal. But he was there to put the pressure on, which was the main thing. It was about all he did in the game. But, you know, I think someone said he had 7 touches. This is meant to be Brazil's number 9. 7 touches of the ball. It is what it is. It is what it is. Marianne, we were lucky to get a draw. Listen, resilience, Marianne, you know what it's like. And I don't, you know, you can play shockingly, Marianne, like, pretty much like Spurs have done for the last few games. We've not played well, again, but we've gone and nicked a point. You know, we've gone and nicked that point. That point might be the point that gets us through the group stages. It shouldn't be, but it might be. You know? And games like that, they're so important, so important. And to nick a draw playing that badly last night, you know, and for me, we did play badly. We didn't have anything about us last night. All we had All we had for 20 minutes at the end was resilience. We had resilience and we kept going, hoping that chance may well turn up. And in a way, we've really got away with it. They've missed a penalty. Fett, the geezer Fett, he's missed an absolute sitter from 7 yards. I mean, they couldn't have put it on a tee for him any better. He's done the same as the penalty taker, put one straight over 6 yards over the bar. They could easily have been 2 or 3 up, easily, before we'd even got going. Well, we didn't really get going, did we? But, we had the second half bit. First half was awful. We were terrible first half. We weren't much better second half, but at least we had a bit more of the ball. And then when it looked like we needed to get going a little bit and try and find that goal, there seemed to be a little bit of purpose there, even if the quality wasn't. But it is what it is at the end of the day. It is what it is. We got the point out of it, like we did in the Brighton game and the Wolves game. And like I say, we're 4th in the league and 4 out of 6 points in the Champions League. And we're not playing very well. So big up to the lads and to Thomas Frank for, having that resilience and keeping going, because it's been very important in those games. There's nothing worse than playing badly and losing and getting nothing. That the resilience part of it, if you've got that in your game, and if he's instilling that in them to keep going and keep going and keep going, then that's a good thing at the end of the day. If you've got that in your bag, if you're not playing well, when you can nick these goals and nick a win here and there and nick a point here and there, we're showing we can do it. Absolutely, Domenico. There is so little scope, so little, and there's not a lot. We need Wani back as soon as possible. We need to get this fella fit and playing to give us another option, whether it be up front or on the wing. Desperately need something different. Big up, Jimmy. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you're well. Lee's saying, can't watch that lazy tosser Johnson anymore. There's no excuse for being lazy. And for me, no, there's not. We speak a lot on this channel about having the pride to wear the shirt, having the passion when you cross that white line, to be the best that you can be for yourself and for your team. And I think there's no excuse. Everyone has bad performances, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you'll get a team performance that's bad. On the whole, you might find a player that's played well in a game, but generally the team's been rubbish. But there's too many occasions for me where there's too many players, and sometimes you think, is it there? Is that heart there to play for the club? And you might think I'm going a bit over the top. I'm one of these old school, and I know football's changed, and this is where I become a bit of a dinosaur, and I need people to put me straight sometimes. But I'm one of those fellas that is old school when it comes to football. I want to see the passion. I want to see the heart. I want to see it from everyone. And then at least if you do lose a game, then, when those players come off the pitch, you haven't got the right to say, well, they didn't put it in, did they? You can see, and it's not just about winning games. You can see if players are putting it in. You can see if teams as a whole are putting it in. And for me, at the moment, we have too many players that are not turning up. We've got players that do turn up and that will give you their 7 out of 10 every week. We have got players that do that, but we've got too many players that are putting 5 out of 10 and 4 out of 10 performances in. And last night, I think you'll find it was just a team collective. There was no one that really stood out. But, the back line did well. Like I thought Danzo and Van der Ven weren't too bad last night together. They're Danzo is Danzo. You know, I don't think you'll ever see a game where Kevin Danzo is not putting himself on the line for his football team, because we've seen it a few times. You know, he's just a proper defender, Kevin Danzo. He is what he is. He's got no, there's nothing fluffy about him. He's just a good central defender for me. Mickey's the one who has that little bit of flair out of the two of them, even when it's Romero. You know, Romero's your passer out of defence. You know, Mickey will be the one that will go on that marauding run down the left wing if it's available for him to do so. But I don't think there was anyone last night that really, you know, you can say had a really good game last night. I just don't think there was. I think collectively we were poor. First half again, we were very, very poor first half. Second half, we've had to take the game to them a little bit. You know, they get the second goal, we get the equal, we get the first goal to bring it back to 2-1. And then obviously, I think it was a lot more Spurs after that. And Bodo were the ones then looking to maybe go and nick a third one. Luckily for us, we got the equaliser. So, yeah, it is what it is. We'll carry on working through the chat. Sorry for rabbiting on again. Jimmy, we've got the first front three in the Premier League. Absolutely. Absolutely, Jim. I agree with you. Last 20 minutes, because we brought on Kudos, the only one that can come on and hold up the ball. Agreed. Gray was good too. Yep, he did well when he came on. Richie, absolutely terrible. How bad is Brazil that he is starting striker for them? Shem, that's up to Brazil, mate. All I know is he plays for Tottenham, right? And he's not doing enough. He's not doing anywhere near enough. Listen, Shem, I've got to say, right, I never played centre forward. It weren't my thing, mate, to be fair, right? But I'm not saying it's not. He's professional. He's a professional footballer. He's been doing this stuff for a long time, holding defenders off as an adult, let's say. Forget as a kid, a part of the learning process, right? As a professional footballer, no one can tell me that a centre forward doesn't know how to shield a football from a defender, even if it's a case of having a touch and giving it. I'm not talking about like a Kudos does. He collects the ball at the moment and all of a sudden he's got 2 or 3 of them swarming on him. You know, Richie's got one man generally that he's got to hold off, have a touch or get the ball under control, give it and move. That's all he's got to do. When he's got his back to goal, that's all he's got to do. And I make it sound simplistic. He's probably got more to do than that. But in general play, when the ball's coming up to the centre forward, yeah, especially if it's coming into him on the floor, a bit different if it's coming through the air. He's trying to win an header, so's the defender. I get that. Right? But if that ball's coming to him, a 20-yard pass, either from midfield or from a Van der Ven or Romero, straight into his feet, you're telling me at least half of those times, 5 out of 10 times, that he can't collect that ball, pressure or not from the defender, yeah, have a touch or get it under control, give it a move. Because at the moment, he can't even do that. He's on his backside more than he's doing anything else. I think that was when we was talking about Richie and Johnson earlier, you know, not Domenico. Yeah, and it's like you've got handicaps straight away sometimes. It really is. Yeah, we are getting points and we have to be resilient until that time comes where we are playing good football and we are getting in front in games and we are controlling games and we're the ones that are doing the biz from the off. And that's another good point as well. That team that started last night, and there was a comment that came into the watch along, and someone said, and it was a great point because this has gone out of my head since the start of the season. Where are the leaders? Where were the leaders on the pitch last night? Where was that player on the pitch that stood out more than all? And don't get me wrong, I'm not having a pop at Van der Ven here. He was captain last night. Right, he's still got a lot to learn as far as being a captain is concerned. But I'm talking about, where were those senior players last night? Someone's have put their foot on the ball. Because it was like ricochet races from both teams. You know, Bodo wanted to play the nice football, the intricate passing. They wanted to walk the ball into the net, and that done us a favour, to be fair. I just don't get the bit about we can't pass the ball. We just can't pass the ball. Morning, Guy. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you're well, Guy. Thanks for being in. Cheers, mate. Thanks for all of you being in this morning. Sorry, it might seem like I'm a bit on a rant-a-thon this morning. I'm not. I'm just disappointed. I'm pleased we got the point. I'm disappointed with the performance. But again, if you can play not well, if you can play disappointingly, and you can get a point or you can nick a win, it's all a bonus for me, because I feel like that's what all the best teams do. When they're not playing well, they'll get something out of a game. Because there's nothing worse than playing great and losing. Nothing worse. You know, doesn't happen very often when you play very well that you lose. But there's nothing worse for me than your team's put in a really good performance and you get beat. But, you know, you might have got beat by the better team. You know, but when you're not playing cohesively and you're playing disappointingly, and you as a fan are looking at the thing and think, oh, I can't see where a goal's coming from here, you know. And we do manage to nick that goal and we do nick that point. I think it's good. I think it's good for the future when that's going on, that we can do that. Because if we can do that while we're playing like we're playing now, and we're getting draws when we should be losing games, then I'll take the point every time, or I'll take the win every time. Lee's coming. Frank is left with nothing. How was he going to rotate with that squad? This is a massive rebuild. I can't get over how bad Johnson and Richie are. He needs more weaponry, Lee. There's no doubt about it. We can have this conversation over and over again. He's got a massive, massive job on his hands for me until January to get this team through without going on a losing run when he has to pay players that you would not class as regular first team starters. Because again, we have the conversation, the drop-off is huge. The drop-off is still huge. And I know there's injuries. I don't want to be that geezer that says, you know, oh, we've got 9, 10, 11 out. Oh, what are we supposed to do? What we're supposed to do is have people that are in charge, that want to invest in the team, that want to buy better players and have a better squad overall, so that gap shrinks. And that's only down to ENIC. Only they can do that at the moment, like we've said. But again, they can't do anything until January now, if they're going to do anything. We'll have to wait and see for that. Christmas will soon be here, everyone. And then that'll be gone and the transfer window will be here again. You know how quick it all comes round. We've got 2 games a week now. This fella, they've put this fella, you know, he wasn't everyone's choice. Some people wanted Glasner. At the end of the day, I wanted a coach. Yeah. again, like I've seen in many chats, I'm sure that Thomas Frank will naturally improve players. I believe he will do that, right? But you can't, he's not going to make, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 superstars out of what's there. The improvement might be tiny, and it still might not be enough for what we need. And he has to work out, he knows what he wants to do at the club over the next 2 or 3 years, if he's still here. But he'll also be working out who he needs in his squad and who he doesn't. And let's hope the club are big enough now. If Thomas Frank goes to them and say, look, A, B, C and D, they're not going to be part of my plans. They're not good enough for what I want. You can sell them. Let's see if we turn into that club now that sells those players, gets that money in and starts buying better. Because at the moment, we're not that club. And I think sometimes you have to signal your intentions in lots of different ways to show that you do want to be that club. It's not just about all being on the pitch. It's about what they're doing upstairs as well. It's all about that cog moving and turning it into that, you know, I'll use a Sava saying, as that well-oiled machine. We seem to be oiling it, buggering off for a bit, and then when it starts squeaking, we come back and we try and oil again. I'm not saying we're that well-oiled machine, by the way, you know, but we get to a point, it looks like we're moving on, and then it goes wrong again. For whatever reason, whether it's them upstairs, whether it's a wrong manager, whatever it is, multitude of reasons. But now we have got the manager. I think that most people, you know, if you'd have said you wanted a coach, you got a coach now. Again, some wanted Glasner, some wanted Iriola, some wanted Silva, some wanted others. Some wanted Ange kept. It's everyone's opinion and of what they want at the end of the day. But we have got a coach now with a very good coaching team. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I think, to me, if it doesn't happen, this is a bit of a statement actually, but if you can't see players improving over the course of the next year, then to me, if he can't improve them, I don't see that there's many that can. It's a big statement to make, I know, but he is a coach at the end of the day. He's got a lot to learn as well. He's got to work out what's best for his players. But at the end of the day, the players have got to be putting it 110% in. Whether it's in training or on the pitch, to be fair, they're professionals. Everyone knows we all go to work in all our different jobs, what we've done in our lifetime, we have bad days. It happens, and I've got no doubt it's the same for professional footballers. They have bad days, and sometimes that bad day is on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. It happens. We just want it to happen less and less and less because we need that consistency. But the only way you're going to get that consistency is to get better players in your squad. He can't do anything about that now until January. Like I said, that's Enoch's problem to deal with. Obviously, with Frank, they'll be talking. They'll have people that they'll want to be going after in January. Whether they can get them or not is a different matter because we know how inflated the prices get and we know how tight Tottenham can be. So whether that happens or not, we'll wait and see. But they've got to get at least someone in. They've got to get one, at least first team player in January. We need a left winger. I think it's quite obvious for everyone to see. We need a left winger. We've needed a left winger for a long time now. You know, when Son was here, he was declining for whatever reason. We still needed a left winger then. Son left. We still needed a left winger because it was blatantly obvious to me that Tell and Odibert weren't it and are still not it now. And I don't know how long you give them before you, as a club, think to yourself, they're not it. Obviously, it's not that time yet. I say obviously. I mean, Tell's been here for what? Since, is it January last year, or was it? I can't remember. Oddie Burt's been here for a full season now. He's had a full season at Burnley before that. So it's not as if they're just coming in. I know they're youngsters as well. You know, and at the end of the day, that's what Thomas Frank gets paid for. You know, he's got to find somewhere that these guys fit in, whether it's from coming off the bench and they're coming into a game and they need to impact it, whether it's playing them in their whatever their right positions are. Still not sure Tell's a winger. For me, Johnson's definitely not a winger. Oddie Bear, to me, I look at him and I think, well, yeah, you are a winger as such, but play like a winger, take your man on. Run into that open grass behind in front of you. Johnson's not doing it. Kudos tries to do it. But it's very difficult when you're a one-man band out there on your own. And we go back to the conversation again. For me, when Kudos plays right, Simmons must play in the 10. Because if you put Simmons out here on the left, there's no connection between Kudos and Simmons unless they meet here in the middle somewhere. We're too far apart. And we need to start building connections on the pitch. It's difficult. I've got so many comments here. I've been yapping away like a good one, and it's I'm about half hour behind. So I'm sorry if I miss anyone. I just try to talk football. Philly. Problem is, Cookmaster, for example, how long can we blame the pigeon for being rubbish when we know he's not good enough? And the same with loads of players such as Sissoko and Ndombele. Phil, it's like I was just saying just now. The time comes at the end of the day where, for argument's sake, someone's been here a year, 18 months, even 2 years, right, into their contract. If they're not showing you more of what you want to see and all they're doing is plodding along and they're not showing you what you want from them, then surely for me, and I know it's easier again, and we're not playing Sunday morning football here. Yeah, there's contracts and agents and all. I get all that, but surely the time has to come where you think this lad ain't for me. We've done a wrong and it hasn't worked out. We need to move this further on, get what we can for him. We just don't do it. We're sitting here talking about Ben Davies coming into the team last night. It never happened. You know, I was talking about if they played a back three last night. I don't want to see Ben Davies in a Spurs shirt again. And I'm not disrespecting what Ben Davies has done at Spurs. He's been here 10 years. You're not going to see anything from Ben Davies that you haven't seen for the past 10 years. We need to move on. We need to move on. These players, you know, I've said before, perhaps Ben Davies is staying at Spurs because he is a backup. He's going to do his coaching badges. He can do that through being at Tottenham. Might be a great idea. He ends up being a coach at Spurs. Fine. I just don't want to see him on the pitch anymore for Spurs. But again, that's just my... Here's another bone of contention, if you like. There's been a lot of talk about Vicario. Now I know Vicario. Mark's here. Hello, Mark. How are you?
Hello, mate. How was it? Sorry about that, man. I haven't just got...
Listen, I said to the people, when I hear from you, don't hear from you, mate. I know you've had a late one. So it is, mate.
I had to rush over and get some brekkie, mate.
Yeah, fair dues, mate.
Cold bits of bacon and cold sausage.
Oh, dear.
Right, man. Well, it finishes now, man.
Yeah, that's all right.
I had what's been there for like 3 hours.
You've had something to eat, no doubt, have you?
Yeah.
Sweet
It is what it is, man.
Sweet as a nut. Did you get to see any of the game last night, Mark? Did you have it on your phone or anything, or was you just too busy
I
at
was
work?
I was watching your you and Nigel's marvelous job you did, mate.
I'm with you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
I
No, I was
go
just
on.
watching that, man.
Yeah, yeah,
But we were terrible, weren't we?
yeah. We was not very good at all, Mark. To be fair, we wasn't very good at all. Just to let you know, 40 of you in here now. If you haven't hit the sub button, if you haven't liked the stream, please do. I keep forgetting to ask you. We're trying to get to 700 subs. It seems like it's been months that we've been on 650, 660, 670. We're now on 685. Please, if you haven't subbed, please do. If you're enjoying the content, get over to the 2 marks and please sub and like the stream. We would appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Cheers.
Yep. Well, hang on. Let's turn this round. There you go. That's better.
So is it? Did you have a long one last night, then, Mark?
Yeah, man. I think we got back about. It was gone 3.
Oh, it was a late one then.
Yeah, it was gone 3 o'clock, mate. We was back here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and I whacked my laptop on, man, and it said unsecured network. It is unsecured. It's free bloody Wi-Fi in here, you know.
Yeah.
Things that wind me up, I can't be doing without when I'm tired, you know.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd just jump on the phone.
Yeah. It's one of them, mate, isn't it? It's one of them. It's one of them.
When you've only been up like less than an hour, you just don't need that sort of stuff, do you?
No. It is what it is, mate. It is what it is. That's why I just jumped on and got on with it, mate. Because I know if I haven't heard from you, you know, we've already spoke. If I haven't heard from you, I'll leave you alone to sleep, man. You know what I mean? I'm not waking you up to do this when you've been at work all night.
Yeah. No. But and so, what was the game really like then? Was it really that bad?
It was just poor, Mark. Generally, I mean, yeah. I don't want to go through it all again, but first half we was not good. Second half, maybe the last 20, 25 minutes, we imposed ourselves a bit more on the game, but the quality wasn't there, Mark. Porro put in a banger of a cross for Van de Ven. I wish they'd done it more often. Didn't take a touch. Ball was just rolled back to him. First time, he had a look up, knew where he was putting it. It was like an arrow, Mark. Do you know what I mean? But with that little bit of curl, that little bit of spin, pace and power, and he's really put it in, you know, flat and with pace. Van de Ven didn't have to do anything apart from put his nut on it, you know?
Yeah,
and I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that.
Yeah, but to be honest, man, this shows you how weak we are up front when you're relying on your centre backs to score.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I know I've said it, but they got some work to do, aren't they, in it, if they're not going to break any promises?
Absolutely. Morning to you, Kate, as well. I'm sorry if I've missed anyone out. I know there's loads of you in the chat this morning, loads and loads of you. So I'll say a big hello to all of you in case I don't get to any of you. There is zillions of you chatting away in here. I'm half an hour behind. Big up to Adam. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you're well. Let me just say
mate.
You what,
know
mate?
It gets me when you're yapping.
Big up to Philly. Big up to Rinketic. Big up to Adam. Big up to Mashina Joe. Shemtan. Darren Johnson. Big up to you for being in, mate. Jimmy Hotspur. Big up to you. Let me see if I can find anyone else I haven't seen. Big up to Kate Rickson. Dominico. Big up to you. Tottenham Ranger. Big up to you. Kudos. Big up to you. Colin. All the way from Wales. Big up to you. Truth set you free. Big up to you as well. Mike Pepper. Big up to you. Milton's in the house. Big up to you, Milton. Barbaric, I know I've said hello to. If I've missed anyone out, Lee, big up to you, Lee. May the force be with you. Samuel, big up to you. And Wayne as well. And Scott, big up to you. I've probably missed a few of you out.
Good morning.
I'm going to chat now. So big up to everyone for being in this morning, having a chat about last night's result. How do you feel about it, Mark? Do you feel like it's because in the end, the way we played, I almost feel like it was a point gained again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because we scored late.
Yeah, I got a sense of that when I was watching your watch along. It was like, thank goodness for that, you know.
Mm.
You know, thank goodness, you know, because the worst thing that could have happened is that we drew the game. Oh, we lost the game. Sorry, we lost the game.
Yeah.
You know, because you know what it had been after we went there last year and beat them. You know as well as I know what was coming.
Mark, I'm seeing that now this morning. I'm seeing it this morning, Mark. I'm seeing it this morning in chats. You know, we drew. Ange got us 2 wins last year. What's going on here? I'm seeing it, Mark. I'm seeing it.
Frank out immediately.
Yeah.
You know, people don't look at the bigger picture. You know, it's Frank at the moment can only work with what he's got and what he's got up front. Now, bear in mind, last year we had an aging Sonny, but what we give for him back up front now?
Cool, yeah.
Even though we used to moan at him, you know, slowing down, not the same as he was. We'd bite your arm off for a Sonny up there now with his finishing ability.
Yeah, I agree, mate.
The forwards we got, they couldn't finish their breakfast, mate, let alone dinner and tea. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, Mark. So, you know, like I said earlier on in the show, I think Thomas Frank, we need Moani back straight away.
Yeah.
You know, we need him back. We don't know what he's going to offer as such at the moment, but we need him in the squad. We need another body. Yeah. We need, you know, hopefully to see Moani take off at Spurs, get into it early and get going, because we need something going on here, Mark.
And because we are that poor, because we are genuinely that poor going forward, does that mean the poor ones we got have just got to play? You know,
pretty much
push them through the pain barrier, and then you risk injuries. You know, because we're limited, aren't we, with options?
I don't think he can do that, Mark. If he plays the same team over and over again every week, all everyone's going to say is, well, that's what Ange's done.
Yeah.
That's what Ange's done. So if he's not going to rotate, what's the point of him being here? I've got no problem with the rotation. My problem is that when he does rotate, we're going from here to here still. There's nothing in between.
Well, especially the forward players, even when we got our best forward line out, it's still not good, is it?
Needs to be better, Mark. It needs to be better.
Well, we had this conversation when I was on yesterday. You know, the strikers me and you have seen over the years. It's shocking now what we got. Even going back 5, 6, 7 years, prime Kane and Son. Now, look, nothing. Literally nothing.
Yeah, well,
you got Richie and Dom that seem to swap being sick. You know, because they're never available together, are they? Or very rarely. It's always one of them's out.
There's always one of them injured.
Yeah. But even so, combine both of them, they're still. You combine both of them, they're still nowhere near Harry Kane. I'd have him back. I'd have him back tomorrow, twice on Sundays.
I think most of us would, mate. To be fair, I think most of them would. Look, we're in a deep hole. We're going to end the show now because we've been going for an hour. Mate. But we've been, you know, we've got what we've got, Mark. At the end of the day, until January, he's got 3 months now. Yeah. October, November, December. It's going to be busy. He's got to try and get the best out of what he's got at the end of the day.
You just got to muddle on, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, if come the January we're sort of mid-table-ish, I think we just got to accept it.
It is what it is, mate. When it comes to January, I want to see Enoch putting their hand in their pocket, mate. If they can't see how desperate we are now, they never will. They never will.
No. If I don't see a left winger, a decent left winger, not just any old left winger, a decent left winger and a striker come in, then my patience will run very thin with Enoch and all that waffle and promises.
Yeah, I get you, mate. I get you. Well, anyway, yeah, it's been a great show, Mark. Thanks for jumping on. I know you've only been
No
on
worries,
10 minutes,
mate.
but cheers for jumping on, mate. I
Yeah, that's
appreciate
all right,
it.
man.
Big up to everyone in the chat who's been in this morning. Thanks for being here, everyone. Make sure to like and sub to the channel, please. We're pushing on for that 700. If you haven't, please do. We will be back tomorrow morning, 9:30 as usual, for the breakfast brunch, and then a special edition of the breakfast brunch on Friday morning. It's someone's birthday. I won't say no more.
Yeah.
But we'll be back tomorrow morning, 9:30. Please come and join us then. We'll get stuck into this game again even more, and we'll have a little chat about Leeds on at the weekend as well. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Love you all. See you soon. You
Big
all
up.
take care. See you tomorrow. Ta-da for now.
Cookie and the share.